Hi and welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Mod Matt He, the podcast monkey, and with me this week to talk about our newest quest, Heart of Stone, we have...
Mod Raven, content developer, sorry.
And Mod Moltare.
Who is...
Senior designer still these days.
Right, okay. So, Heart of Stone, our newest quest. How did the quest come about?
So there was a poll that we did regarding what storyline players wanted us to follow, an Elder Gods one. And then we asked further on that, and people didn't want to kind of dive into the deep end. They didn't want to see an Elder God. They wanted to have research and learn kind of a little bit about the Elder Gods, kind of cement the Elder God storyline to move on to the next bits. And so that's where Heart of Stone kind of came about, to be the first of the Elder God pillar.
Right, okay.
Foundation quest.
Yeah.
How would you describe the quest? What type of quest is it then?
It's a bit of an exploration quest. You're kind of tracking someone down, and by kind of you are tracking someone down, and this leads you to various different locations across Gielinor as you piece together where they are and what they're up to before you finally do catch up to them.
So a travelling quest, which lots of players keep asking us for more of.
Yeah, a travelling exploration quest is what we wanted to go for. We wanted to let players explore the world again.
Cool. And what's the quest about?
You start off the Wizard's Tower, and there you encounter two signature heroes the players will recognise, because they have encountered them before.
Right.
Or have seen them in the banner.
Or have seen them in the banner, yes, this is true. And they're having a bit of a scuffle with each other. It looks more like an argument when they first get there, kind of waving hands at each other. And then you learn that one of them, Xenia, has done bad things. And spoilerific TM thing, yeah. And it's not much of a spoiler. You see her at the start, and Ariane wants to track her down, find out why she's done the bad things that she's done, and put a stop to it and bring her to justice.
Okay.
And along the way, you learn a little bit about the Elder Gods, cementing kind of the storyline and cementing some elements that players might not already know that will be important in the Elder God pillar.
Elements. Right. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
so it's been described as an introduction to the Elder Gods.
Yes.
Why are we putting an introduction to the Elder Gods quest in? What's that for?
Because we're going to... So, we have the idea of pillar quest.
Pillars.
Yeah, we have the idea of pillar quest, which I'm going to do now.
Players love pillars.
And so we have the idea of three kind of groups of quests. We have the gods, we have the dragonkin, and then we have the elder gods. And each of these are kind of separate things that all link together into one big quest somewhere down the line. And each of these are what we call pillar quests, because the idea is you're supposed to be able to do them separately.
Right.
And then come together in any order. So this particular quest is the first of the elder god pillars. So you need it to give you enough knowledge to be able to do the rest of them without having to link to other quests.
So the idea is I say, as my tube, will be able to progress through a series of Elder God quests down this pillar to get to the big final quest, but without having to have done the other two pillars.
Yes, is the idea.
Also without needing ridiculous requirements in terms of levels and previous quests done.
Yeah.
This is as an introductory quest, it's important that as many people as possible be able to do it.
So what are the requirements for this quest?
25 rune crafting, 35 magic, or have I got it the wrong way around?
That sounds good to me.
And rune memories and Carnelian Rising.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So low level.
Right.
Introductory.
So how's the feedback gone so far?
It's been mixed. Most people, as far as I can tell from the different sources, have enjoyed it. They've enjoyed the playthrough.
Yeah.
I was watching a couple of people live streaming it as they went through, so Balor, Amascut, and I'm sorry, I forgot the other one's name. I do apologise.
Yeah, for those not aware, when releases come out, quite often we watch live streams doing brand new content in the office to have an idea of how it's being responded to.
And to see it from before you even play, getting straight in it, and they were enjoying it. Apart from Balor getting frustrated at one puzzle, which I was laughing at, I confess. So they enjoyed it, but we've had some feedback on the forums that has not been quite as positive.
Okay.
There are some issues that some of the stuff I'm looking at addressing. Well, today, some of the jobs I'm trying to do, but certainly going forward, we're going to try and look at see if we can tweak some of these to improve them.
So from feedback, I've got a few key words to throw at you for discussion. We'll start with Kipple.
Oh, yeah, Kipple. So this would be people want to see him develop more than he did. So the idea originally was to have Kipple very much develop and have a wide range of stuff, and to have completely different personalities based on all manner of different things you've done. And
I believe part of the original brief was teach a golem how to love.
Teach a golem how to love. Unfortunately, as with all things, you have to kind of be realistic. And particularly with dialogue, it's surprisingly expensive because you've got not just to write it, which takes a lot longer than you would think because it's quite difficult to write dialogue, but it also has to be edited and then translated. When you start thinking, we have having the same dialogue but split 3, 4, 5, 6, several different ways, different responses based on his personality, that of course starts to exponentially increase till it becomes unreasonable. And we still have to, meet a deadline, so we had to cut some of our grandiose plans. So his personality does change. There are now kind of 3 personality types that you can get out of it. It's not as much as we would have wanted to do, but it does adapt to how you play. I've seen certainly different players have different responses. Quite a few people have the goody-goody two-shoes Kipple, which disappoints me.
Of course it disappoints you. You are master of evil.
But then I've seen a couple other people who had the slightly sarcastic version of Kipple, which shows that you've chosen the kind of...
That's the one I like.
The sort of slightly silly, slightly options of be a bit of a troll as a player, and the Kipple responds to that. And so there's people going, I want to slap Kipple. It's like, well, he's only learning out based on what you've taught him. So we'd have liked to have done more, but I think he's done all right. And the pet is cool for a start. And there's something there for everyone, I think. And we might be able to add more on later.
Okay.
Maybe.
Any plans for Kipples in the future?
I would like to use Kipple.
Right.
I would like to reuse him, certainly along the Elder God storyline, because of course he has that wonderful useful ability to be able to track down NG signatures. He's already keyed into the Elder Gods based on what happened in the quest, so it would be nice to reuse him. It would be nice to tie him further into the storyline. It would be nice to use a pet, something cool.
Might encounter Kipple on the story again.
Yes, well, you'll probably be using your Kipple Nano, for obvious reasons.
Yes,
although
hopefully.
Maybe depends. We can do stuff.
Perhaps, maybe.
Yeah, I realised I was going to say stuff, and so if people haven't played it, this would be like a huge spoiler, so I'm just going to stop.
Yeah. Okay, next keyword, puzzles.
Oh, right, yeah. Puzzles are always a difficult thing to gauge, because some players adore puzzles.
Yeah.
And they adore the idea of being presented with something and then working out what you need to do, and then doing it. Which is what the aim was for this particular... I mean, the puzzle I think most people are raising is the rune tracker puzzle, which is the key one used throughout. So those who have done it have really enjoyed it. They've loved the idea of solving it. They've been really pleased with it. But there are some a good number of players that can't get past the information revealed on screen.
Yeah.
This is partially down to if you click really quickly through it, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Which I know is a lot of mindset of people is to like really click through stuff. I am looking at the puzzle to try and tweak the information that it gives you to make it a little bit more immediately obvious what you need to do.
Well, puzzles are very difficult, aren't they? Because ultimately, there's a wide variety of puzzle solving capability amongst our players, and some players really want puzzles to be a hard thing, to be something they have to work on, whereas other people just want to be able to go to a guide and just, it's 73, solved.
It's designed to work with a guide. So whilst it's not randomised.
There was a period of time where we developed quests with puzzles that randomise the solutions, at least between several different sets, to make it harder to use a guide to go through them. But we've abandoned that approach in recent years. Because... for a start, you can still list 24 different solutions on the wiki, and it just means that people that really don't like the puzzles
have to go through 24 different solutions.
Exactly. So
so they're all of them can be done with a guide. If people really have difficulty with puzzles doing it, then they can go through the guide. But I think it's worth re-looking at them to see if we can tweak it a bit to give them slightly more information, maybe.
Just from a usability perspective, rather than the fundamentals of the puzzle itself.
Yeah, we're not going to change that. It'll still be the same puzzle. We're just going to tweak the display a bit.
I thought the puzzle looked very pretty, to be fair.
I'm a big fan of the puzzle. I was quite pleased with how it worked. I can see why a few people are getting frustrated. I mean, I said the problem is if you click through it is the main problem.
Yeah.
If you sit and take your time, you can solve it quite quickly, but you have to sit and take your time.
Part of the trouble with that is that most of our developers and designers are people who fundamentally do like puzzles.
Yeah.
Well, I know, for instance, amongst our team, because we're all in the community development team, a logic puzzle got brought out in the office the other day, and we all spent 20 minutes solving.
Paralysed us for a quarter hour. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. But it was testing it for players, clearly, but yeah,
and
we
broke it.
Yeah.
And we broke it. Yes, that is true. Yes.
But it's sort of important to remember, and we do try to remember, but it still skews the output that not every player likes puzzles as much as we do.
Yeah.
No.
And so there is personal bias. We do try and work against it. It's not always 100% effective.
I liked the puzzle.
Thank you.
Rewards.
So yes, okay, some people were displeased at the amount of experience that they got.
Yeah.
I'm going to be open and honest. I may not make very many friends for saying it. It is an intermediate quest. It is not Grandmaster. We cannot give out the amounts of rewards that we would give out for a Grandmaster for something with such low entry requirements. The experience isn't the only thing you get from the quest.
Right.
There is obviously the pet. There is...
Yeah. I mean, I would suggest that the main reward for completing the quest is that it's the first the Elder God pillars.
Yeah.
So you need it to unlock the others.
The lore of what's in the quest you have done is part of it. There is post-quest content that we're discussing that will have further modest rewards. That, again, they won't be Grandmaster level because it won't be Grandmaster level content.
Nothing amazing, but it's a little something extra.
Well, a number of the quests we've had in and releases we've had have focused on the top end of the game.
Yeah.
This quest is obviously, as you say, it's the foundation quest, it's the insertion quest. The rewards aren't going to be equivalent to those levels that people have kind of got a bit used to, perhaps.
Yeah.
And so our balancer does have all of the curves, all of the spreadsheets, all of the data that would place the rewards for a quest like this.
Yeah.
And they are appropriate to where it finds itself on the difficulty scale.
Yeah. So you said about a part of the reward being lore. Now, another piece of the feedback has been that obviously some of the lore hounds have been like, well, they didn't feel there was much new lore in there.
Well, so one of the things we wanted to do with this quest was, because it is the first of the Elder God pillars, is to cement it.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to cement kind of what the Elder Gods are. We wanted to cement kind of where they are and a little bit more about them. We have added in some additional new lore. So we've got things like the mouthpieces. They're completely brand new.
Yeah.
And they should be something that worth thinking about. And we also expanded on what Anima Mundi is.
Yeah.
Some people are suggesting, this is a lore fail, but it isn't. This is intentional, looking at how Anima Mundi works, looking at what it means to the game in general, because it's going to be important further down the line.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out that some of the lore hounds, we're very aware of what some of their personal theories are.
Yeah.
But they are theories.
Yeah.
We are aware of the lore of the game, and we have a big Bible of the lore. And those theories aren't always actually accurate. No. They're based on ideas or assumptions that come out of little bits of dialogue, where the person talking may not be telling you quite what you think they're telling you.
Yeah. Certainly you have to remember that the people talking are not exactly infallible either.
Yeah.
They have their own characters, of their own theories that aren't always entirely correct.
Yeah.
Which is worth remembering.
Yeah. So the lore reward here is really a foundation of the Elder God lore here.
Yeah.
Great.
Or there were a few people also talking of, we'll discuss it now, of Fate of the Gods.
Right.
Because, of course, you learn similar information.
Yeah.
And what we were trying to do with this quest is, because, again, this quest is intermediate, you need this to start the other ones. We didn't want to lock everything with Elder Gods behind Fate of the Gods, because that's quite, high level.
It's quite a meaty requirement.
Exactly. And so not everyone can do it. And the Elder Gods is something that people should be able to get out and do.
Yeah.
So we have similar information in both. I would suggest that the key information from Fate of the Gods you get is that, Daros is back.
Yeah.
And he has a plan to deal with all of this, which in Heart of Stone, there isn't that kind of safety net.
Yeah.
It's a kind of, oops, oh dear. which is much more we wanted to aim for.
Okay. What's your favourite part of the quest?
I can't explicitly state mine because it's a spoiler. If something bad happens to a certain someone.
A particular unpleasantness that someone suffers.
I have spent so long trying to orchestrate that in every single design brief ever. I've tried to orchestrate that.
Do you have a personal vendetta against one of our characters,
I might have a slight... I don't know why, but I do. And I'm pleased that I succeeded in my goal.
Okay. And Moltare?
I'm going to be very immodest and say that I like the circuit puzzle with the branches and turning the things on and off, and then it expands. And
was that yours?
Yes. I built the original diagram from it, and then Moddeg took that and built it and made it real.
Right.
So the credit is certainly not entirely mine, but the puzzle idea was from me.
Yes,
and I was pleased to see it in action.
We should say Moddeg would have joined us, but unfortunately couldn't make it onto the sofas today. Sadly missed from this podcast, really.
That's true.
Okay, and what didn't make the cut? Last question. What didn't make the cut? What did you plan to include as part of the design, or during the development process didn't get in?
Well, certain outcomes weren't as brutal as I originally wanted. They wouldn't let me torture a person, but never mind.
We're never going to.
We certainly wanted to do more with Kipple. We wanted Kipple to evolve and change more than he does. Same goes, we wanted to have dialogue and special things that do take into account what the player's already done. But as previously suggested, doing all of that is quite expensive, and you have to think, well, what do I need to do for this quest and focus on that?
Yeah, the localization just exponentially increases the amount of resource required, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the localization team are good guys and they do things really quickly, but I think they would have murdered us if we did everything we wanted.
We have 48 different paths that could have been followed, and we need dialogue for each and every one of them in 6 languages.
Yep, definitely, yep. I'm trying to think of what else there was. There were other things.
We did take out some of the harder rune tracking.
Oh yes,
puzzles.
Yeah, we might reuse those. Maybe. I have a plan.
I do like plans.
Yeah, so some of the harder things were removed.
I think most of the content that we planned to put in made it in. It was the dialogue.
Yeah, and additional stuff.
It's the dialogue piece.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you for coming and talking about Heart of Stone today. Feedback on the forums, obviously, for those who want to feedback to us about it. And we do read through it all, and we'll continue looking. But thanks for coming in, and bye.
Bye.